Here, boy. Come on then. Here, boy. Sit. Sit. No, not you, Mark. I'm talking to the dog.
Hello and welcome to the show. Colourful conversations with Clergyman Pete and Businessman Mark. This week, we ask the question, why are we obsessed with pets? Well, it has long been known that the British nation are extreme animal lovers, and it's a reputation that extends around the world. Historically, Britain was the first country in the world to implement animal protection laws, remarkably, with legislation put back in as far as 1822. But why are we so obsessed with pets? What happened with humans? Maybe we should ask that question. Clergyman Pete, I know that we've got differing views on this, but you're a great pet lover, and would you like to give us your account of dealing with pets?
Well, Businessman Mark, yes, I do like to have, say, a pet dog or a pet cat. I've always got on well with them. It's interesting. It seems to be something that runs in the family. We had a pet dog as a family when I was growing up. My grandfather would come and visit, and this dog, which would like to be stroked but wouldn't be overly affectionate, would jump into his lap and snuggle down. Some people just get on better with pets than others, but my experience is that there's something about having certainly a pet dog or pet cat that you're able to relate to the animal in a way you can't relate to humans. It helps with you processing certain parts of your life. You're able to spend time with a pet, and of course, it's a non-judgmental companion. There's something about having a pet, particularly an intelligent one. That is good, I think. And it's been shown, there have been numerous studies showing that if you stroke a cat, for example, with nice soft fur, that it reduces stress levels. Indeed, almost the same effect can be obtained by just stroking fur. But yeah, we as a family, we've just put down a deposit on a pet border collie as a puppy who will be 12 weeks old when we collect him.
Believe me, you're going to end up with lots of deposits.
They're high energy dogs, but they're intelligent, and so you can have a proper relationship with them. In that, it's the sort of animal. This is what they say about a border collie, that they get to know you so well they know what you're thinking. So after a bit they go and preempt your needs. So perhaps they'll go and upload the podcast for me and that sort of thing. That'd be great. But I would say we're obsessed with pets. I think that is true in that there's almost everyone I know around where I live here has at least one pet dog. I think that however, there's something that results in a healthy psyche if you have a good pet that you look after, is well cared for.
Well, from a business point of view, this is a great opportunity.
Yes.
In fact, remarkably, that in Britain alone, there are as many pets as people, an estimated 65 million. That's quite a remarkable amount. So almost every other household is believed to have at least a pet.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't have to be a dog. Of course, it could be a cat. It could be a budgie. It could be many other things.
Guinea pig.
Some people even have obscure pets, such as snakes and many other unusual creatures. Now, ironically, in Britain, dogs do lead the way, although I think a lot of the dogs lead their owners, in fact, when I see them walking around our estate. But actually, dogs, I suppose, traditionally have been a little bit more popular. But from my personal experience about pets, whilst I can see that commercially there's a great opportunity to sell products, etc., and of course, obviously, there's kennels, there's lots of things when people go away. This is a great opportunity. But I personally don't like pets because I find them rather messy. I mean, you could say human beings are messy as well. But one of the things that I've noted is that whilst you may find them therapeutic, for some reason, cats just like clawing away at my leg. I don't know why it is. They just seem to have a fascination. Some people, as you said, some people sort of really sort of alienate a pet. But when they see you as being a little bit too affectionate, it can get a little bit messy, and especially with a cat, it can claw you to death.
Yes. Well, I think that that it's right then that you don't have a pet. In that, I mean, I think that if you're going to have a pet, you should look after it and treat it well. Proverbs 12 verse 10: a righteous man has regard for the life of his animal. So I think if you're going to take responsibility for an animal, you need to take that seriously. So if you're not going to do that, yeah, of course, don't have one. I think that what can happen is people are weak with their pets. For example, we're taking care of, going to take this order of a dog from a farm in Wales next week, and the dog will come and live here in the family home, but he's not going to be sleeping in the house at night. We've got an outhouse he'll go and sleep in. I think that you have to be firm with the dog. It will have to obey certain rules and will be trained to come when it's called, and all that class of thing. I mean, with some animals, or we also have guinea pigs. I mean, they're so stupid you can't train them to do anything. And in fact, one of their most endearing qualities is that they're very stupid. In that, if there were to be any pet that you, Mark, would have, I would say have a guinea pig, because they don't care if you don't look after them. As long as they have some carrots and fresh hay every day, they'll be fine. But if you have something like a dog, you have to actually spend time with it. And make sure that it's certainly with a border collie like we're having, that it has something to think about. So it's a relationship. So why are we obsessed with pets? I think it's because of that. There's something about the relationship with an animal which can add to your life. But it's also a pet is it's a responsibility that should be taken seriously.
Well, exactly. Now, that leads perfectly into my next point, that actually, although many people in this country feel that actually having a pet is a little bit like a friend, and it has been noted that certainly mature people, if they have pets of any nature, maybe they've lost a member of their family, that actually just this can fill a void. But the one thing that we are guilty of as a nation is over-pampering our pets. In fact, this can be an issue. It's not good for the owner. It's definitely not good for the pet either. Now, I do have a problem here, because I know that some of our over-pampered pets around our community do seem to have some very bad habits. And of course, when they are perhaps just a little bit over-pampered and certainly overfed, they can do some very odd things. Certainly, I'd like your advice in a minute, Clergyman Pete, about what to do with cats wander into your garden thinking that it's a large public lavatory. But I do have this point about that when you overfeed your pets, sometimes that can be very bad. And unfortunately, they do attract some unpleasant things. So here's just an illustration. I can only best do this, of course, in the traditional sense of a poem. And this is a little poem called Catapult. Casper the cat was terribly fat from eating too many mice. He also ate a gnat and a great big rat, then quickly paid the price. Just as he sat, his belly went splat from velocity from his vermin vice. He blew across the mat, his body dropped flat, and lay there covered in lice. So the point being is that, Pete, pets can be riddled with all sorts of things, and they can be rather unpleasant. What on earth would your advice be to those who should be looking after their pets in a better way?
Well, this is it. I think your responsibility is to humans first. Pets are not humans. And most of the attributes of personality which we see in them are in fact just in our own imagination. It's anthropomorphism, and so we need to be sensible, hard-hearted almost in our treatment of them when it comes to controlling them. I mean, we can't be taken in by sentiment. Now, when I've had some success, in fact, I have some direct advice to your question here, Mark. I had problems with cats coming in and using the garden as a lavatory, and so therefore, in the process, digging up plants. Yes. I bought a high pressure water pistol, pump action water pistol.
Oh yeah!
And each time I saw it, to start with, I tried to try making a noise, made it run off, but it would come back. I didn't make a noise and make sure I got a direct hit with a blast of cold water. And, after a few times of this, it just doesn't come back.
I can see, I can hear our listeners cringing at this
No,
very prospect.
that's what I recommend. I don't know if listeners have tried other methods. You see, if it may be that someone would recommend a real gun, but I think I think it's much safer to use water. That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I would
Now,
always recommend
Clergyman
that.
Pete, I just want to bring our attention here. Now, let's actually get to the truth of the matter here, because actually, listeners, I don't know that you're aware that Clergyman Pete, who's openly admitted that he likes pets, and in fact, he's just about to bring on a new puppy.
Yes.
However, Clergyman Pete, we've known one another for quite some time,
Yes.
and I would like to point out that actually, you do have a bad record with some of your pets.
Yes, yes, we've known each other since
And I'm
1978.
thinking of a particular dog
Yeah.
that you once had in the late 70s, early 80s. Would you like to just elaborate on some of the misfortunes that befell this creature?
Well, that's it. Once a pet's dog is part of your family, it joins in all the games. And once it was joining in a game of cricket in the garden, and just went for the ball, just decided, and got smacked around the head with a cricket bat, and lay unconscious just for a second. And then he just shook its head and it came to and carried on. But the more serious thing that happened was when the door slammed and cut off the end of its tail. In fact, I found the end of its tail, with the final vertebra, with the final bone of the tail, lying on the ground with some hair attached. So it went from having a pointed tail to having a round-ended tail. Yeah. But it survived. So
this is confession time.
Now, I'm going to tell you, because I know listeners will be interested, the new Border Collie has a name. It's called Spike. So if you'd like to hold Spike in your prayers as he comes into the Cooper household.
Quite, please do. But there is something else as well, and I want to ask your advice here, because there's something else that you're missing. Because at one time, you had a cat and a dog. It was called Sooty and Sweep, and neither the one or the other got on, especially if you mentioned their names. Isn't that correct? I believe that if you called out Sooty, Sweep would get angry, and if you called out Sweep, Sooty would get upset.
Yes, there's a jealousy between the two. In fact, the cat would get somebody who would try to aim a swipe with its claws at the dog's nose. Yes, to try and stop when the dog was getting attention. Yes, I mean animals do see. That's us though putting our interpretation on their behaviour. I don't know if that's true. That is how it appeared. Maybe it is, but you could come up with other explanations as to why they're behaving in that way. So it's not necessarily that pets are really good companions from their point of view, but our reaction to them can make them good companions. And it's certainly. The relationship having a good pet is better than, for example, let's take two scenarios. You spend your time, go for a walk. You spend your time just looking at your phone and checking your text messages, or you spend your time looking after the dog. You've got to make sure that you throw it a stick so you can go and fetch it, and you go and find somewhere interesting for it to root around, and you go off and have an adventure together. The two are two different scenarios which are very real for many people. The dog stops them focusing on other things, helps them clear their mind because of their caring for the dog. In fact, the dog ends up caring for its human because it releases the human from stress and allows it to have some exercise. So I think obsession with pets bad, but having pets can be a good thing. And can be certainly good for your mental health.
Yes, that's a good point. But however, we also need to consider cost, because many people who do invest in pets, whether it's cats or dogs or even a goldfish, it can get very expensive, can't it? I mean, if you think about insurance, vet fees, even toys. So just from your personal experience, Clergyman Pete, what do you think is a good piece of advice for those who are thinking of getting a pet?
Well, in terms of the cost,
indeed,
I think. Well, if you don't have much money, have a guinea pig because they're quite easy to look after. That's what I said before.
But you can't take it for a walk.
No. I mean, in terms of cost, it's cheaper. I think that one of the things about having a pet is, for most people, it would be difficult if you have a pet not to treat it if it were ill. So you have to even factor in, as well as the food costs, the fact that you may need to treat it in a vet. So take seriously how much it will cost. Now, it's very easy to look up these things. There's advice on looking after pets. I would recommend a couple of places to look. Now, online there is Pets for Homes website. Pets number 4homes.com will take you there. But equally, there's a firm which is almost like a pet supermarket, which also provides veterinary service and insurance, called Pets at Home. And you can look them up and find one near to you. And both these are very contain a lot of information. And in terms of the pet supermarket I refer to, you can go and get personal tailored advice. Oh, yeah. It is a bit strange going there in that if they take a note of you, they would take down your pet's name. And so if you talk to them, they say, "Oh, who's it for?" It's for, in this case, Spike for my dog, which I just find very strange. But I know they're trying to fit in with what a lot of pet owners like. But so that's what I recommend. Take advice. Because, yes, pets can be expensive. Yeah. And particularly if you have a pedigree dog, they're expensive to buy and are more prone to illness. So if you haven't got much money, get a mongrel dog get a mongrel dog of which you've seen the parents.
Yes.
Which produced it. Then you've got some sort of idea of how it's going to turn out. And observe it in its home habitat,
Yes.
If you've got children, see it with children. So
absolutely. Yeah. Yes, but also think about it from just general lifestyle. If you go on holidays, make sure that you think about those hotels and establishments that actually do take dogs, because there are people commercially.
Yes, with many breeds,
a good idea.
With many breeds of dog, it is best to take the dog with you. They will go through extreme stress just from being separated from you, and that is part of the attraction of them. Is the dog's attachment to you? Is part of the attraction of having the pets, that they obviously, in their own doggy way, enjoy your company. So in that way, it's part of the attraction of it. But it does make it difficult leaving them in a kennels, because they can then pine and sometimes refuse to eat.
Yes, exactly. So, listeners, what do you think? I mean, is the concept of having a pet one of your pet hates, or maybe actually having a pet is something that you love, and the idea of pampering your little pet gives you a great satisfaction? Well, why not let us know? Tell us, what do you think about your pets? What experiences have you had, good or bad? Log on to markandpete.com and let us know your thoughts. There's plenty for you to enjoy with the podcasts, and give us your comments on this subject. Well, thank you for joining our show, and join us again next time for more pampered conversations with Clergyman Pete and Businessman Mark.